Hi Internet family, I have a story time for you about some Indigenous wisdom I got from the spirits on this land. Those of y'all who've known me for a while know that this stuff just happens to me sometimes, and I love when confirmation comes. It doesn't matter how many years I've done this or how much validation and verification I get from the 3D world after I have my visions and my meditative info come to me. It never gets old and I always love it. So here's what happened. I'm in Virginia right now, as some of you may know, and I'm grieving the loss of my dear brother who died in the middle of last year. And so when I first got here, every morning, as usual, I'd meditate, I'd clear my energy, I would open up to whatever kind of wisdom was coming to me from outside. And not long after I got here, and by the way, this is all written in the blog on my website, the Virginia Project blog, if you want to go read it in more of a real-time scenario. Anyway, one morning I'm just sitting meditating and I was open to whatever loving and truthful wisdom surrounded me in general to come and help guide me. And at that moment I was going through a grief wave and I could feel it in my core. I could feel it in my heart and my solar plexus and my core areas of my energy system. And then I got this really specific visual of a tree being recreated into a canoe. A tree being felled and then hollowed out using fire and scraping to then be a canoe to move along the waterways. And along with this visual was the concept of the transformation of the tree to the canoe. So a tree living is part of the community of trees. It's alive, it gets to breathe, it gets to interact in that way. However, it only stays in one spot, never gets to go anywhere, and provides everything a tree provides, which is a lot, but also doesn't provide the kinds of things that a canoe provides. So a canoe is no longer living and part of the community of trees in that way, but it gets to move and it gets to carry people and it gets to see new places and experience new things. So the idea was that this grief I'm feeling, hollowing me out on my central line, was making me into a canoe in a symbolic way, that I was never going to be the same, that my tasks now would be different and my reach now would be different and my experience now would be different, but that neither is better or worse. It's not that the canoe was less than the tree and it's not that the tree was less than the canoe. It's just that they were different and they were evolution of the same thing. So I came out of my meditation that day and I thought to myself, that is interesting. I've not had a vision like that ever before, and it felt like Native American or Indigenous American spirits that used to live on this land. My house is only a few miles away from Pocahontas State Park, and it's a huge park that is named obviously after one of the most famous Native Americans in the founding of the United States story, although her story is a tragic one. But anyway, I remember thinking, that felt like that, and I dimly remembered maybe growing up in school thinking that natives did that with canoes. I don't know. I let it go and I moved on. So fast forward a little bit, I went to the library to research the local history on the land. Whenever I'm in a new place or a place I haven't been in a while, I like to research the local history so that I can see how to translate what I'm feeling energetically from the land into a real world situation. So I went into the part of the library that doesn't even allow you to check books out. It's like the old books with the hard covers covered in fabric and the pages that are so thin and small books, and I'm flipping through them and through an old book, I don't know, written definitely sometime in the early 1900s. And sure enough, I just happened to flip open to a picture, etching, I think, and again, you can see this in my blog, I took a picture of it, of Native people scraping out a canoe. And the caption said that this was the major form of transport for people who lived in this area. So not only was it accurate, but it was accurate to the location and specifically to the nations that lived here, where I was. So like I said, I just love that. It never gets old. I never get tired of it. I would also love to hear some of you guys' stories too, as this happens to you, because over the course of life, these things happen and they build up. And yes, they teach us to trust our intuition if we remember to listen and get nuanced about how we felt when we got that info versus maybe info that we might have thought was an intuitive download that didn't get verified. So just had to share that story time with you. Many blessings. Have a beautiful day.